I want to thank one of our incredible sponsors, BrainTap. You may have listened to our podcast with the founder of BrainTap, Patrick Porter. And if you did, you'll definitely want to get involved in BrainTap. And if you didn't, please, I strongly recommend that you go back and listen. It's so incredibly informative. Here's what BrainTap can do. You can literally build your brain fitness with BrainTap's mobile app and wearable headset. Everyone here at Comes The Sun podcast has had and continues to have positive results with BrainTap. Your brain is guided from awake and reactionary patterns to intuitive and creative responses. BrainTap is backed by neuroscience and research and was developed by Patrick Porter himself. BrainTap creates a symphony of brainwave activity to optimize your brain's potential, restore your ability, balance your energy, and calm your brain. And listen, it is a game changer when it comes to sleep. This technology is truly a gift, and I am so incredibly grateful to be able to share it with you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Out Comes the Sun podcast with my partner, Melissa Yamaguchi. I'm Mariel Hemingway.
Hello. And
we are excited. Today we are doing just a one-on-one. Melissa and Mariel talking about energy and life and rituals and moving into 2023. We had that show that was talking about kind of December and like prepping for 2023, but now we have the Chinese astrology and that is the Chinese calendar. Okay, I'm getting this all wrong. But anyway, I know that it starts on January 22nd this year. It's always interesting. I'm always completely confused because it starts on a different date practically every year. So you never know. Anyway, but it's
You need an abacus to figure it out.
But it's very cool because the energy for this year is actually turning out to be quite cool. And it's, so I'd love for you to kind of get into what we have to look forward to, like this month. We've got about a week, 10 days, 9 days. 9 days until the Chinese New Year, correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So tell us a little bit about what happens and what that means.
Well, energy obviously isn't static, right? It's just moving. It's a moving force. And so it goes without saying that we're the greatest conduits of energy. So we are highly affected as energy is shifting and moving. And what's taking place beginning January 22nd, it's the lunar calendar. And I always equate it to a set of lungs, right? It's breathing. So you never know where it's going to expand and decrease. And that's why the date always moves. That's my own little pacifier. So I don't feel so crazy about it. But January 22nd, we slide into what is known as the year of the rabbit. And all that. So it's the year specifically of the yin water rabbit. And all these monikers are ways of telling us what to expect within the year. So yin, meaning it's not yang energy. It's not this overtly strong, aggressive energy. And then water, it's more fluid. It's more thoughtful. It's forward thinking. It's visionary energy. And then rabbit. Rabbits are known for two things. On the plus side, very diplomatic creatures and very expedient. On the downside, can avoid problems and issues and run down the rabbit hole and can be timid about speaking up for themselves. However, each time the energy moves, it also fluctuates within the 5 elements of earth, fire, water, wind, and wood. And when that energy moves around, those of us who practice feng shui study the calendar and the way the energy is moving to see which of the elements are dominant, which are recessive, and which are just flat out missing. And so I'm really excited to share with you and our audience about not only the elements that are really strong this year and what we can lean on, so to speak, what's missing. And so what we must do to fill in those spots. Now, we just came off of 2022, which was the year of the tiger, and there were 3 tigers in the chart, they were all aggressive energy. It was known as Yan Tiger, and it was metal, and it wasn't Reynolds wrap. It was like an axe, and things were just like slamming forward. And the fact that there were three tigers shows three times this aggressive energy. We went to war in the world. Things were volatile all over the place, whether it was political or in sports or whatever was happening on the gossip sites, whatever was taking place. It seemed like everything was in this wild flux. It didn't really feel safe. It felt aggressive and strategic, but it didn't necessarily feel safe.
Absolutely. I mean, I can say I felt that. I mean, you're always so encouraging about the new year, but I remember last year we were like, be prepared. Things are going to be moving fast, but big things are going to happen. And I think we all kind of felt that. It was a good preparation. This year feels like we're moving into just something that feels more consistent, calmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting a respite from all this volatile energy. This is where we can breathe, because in 2024 some of it will pick up again.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, take full advantage of the calm.
Okay.
Because what we have is, and I want to kind of go over this. We're coming into the year of the water rabbit. And the day we become the year of the water rabbit, we are also the month of the wood tiger, the day of the water snake, and the hour of the fire snake. Okay, what does that mean? What it means is, when I look at the energy, we have a lot of wood, water, and some fire. We're missing metal and earth. Well, that's not good, because water represents, we're a lot of water. Water represents relationships, friends and foes. So we have an abundance of water. So that tells me that relationships are going to be huge this year.
Okay.
Nurturing the proper ones, not wasting time on relationships that are not only, I don't mean to say getting rid of people in your life that don't bring you something. I just mean if there are relationships in your life that are dragging you down or
they're
causing
not serving
you consternation,
you, right? Not serving you.
Yes, you've got to move. That, all the whole thing that you and I talk about constantly, Mariel, whether it's the focusing on betterment for our health through the choices that you and Bobby have taught me and you practice daily, or the concept of energy that I work on. It's really about optimizing who you are. We're talking about optimizing you to the best of you, so that while you're on this life path, this journey that you're on while you're alive, is really the best it can be, instead of just sliding into the coffin like, well, crap, I hope I get reincarnated because that life sucked. Let's just try to optimize it daily, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're missing metal and earth, and it tells me we have an abundance of water. Relationships are hugely important. We have wood, and wood is really a symbol for intelligence and creativity. So there's going to be an abundance of ideas this year. They're going to be coming at us like crazy. The key is going to be able to discern between an idea or one that can go somewhere, or one that's wasting your time. So that tells me, because relationships are so big and creativity and ideas are so prevalent, we're going to be pitched a lot this year. Everyone's going to get pitched. In the old days of now it's the spam calls, but remember when you'd pick up the phone, it'd be, hi, this is John down from the Sears Roebuck. Have you looked at your washer and dryer? And it was all this. We're going to be getting that through emails, through Instagram, through our social media, Twitter. All the ads are going to start coming at us like crazy, because a lot of the social media giants will start succumbing to the.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm like, what?
Oh,
yeah.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Dun, dun. Yeah. So.
Wow.
They're going to be a lot of pitches, a lot of sales. So the good news is, for somebody who's in marketing and advertising, excuse me, if you are stellar at your game, this could be your year. Because if you are good at getting eyes on you, instead of people just going, another ad, and scrolling through it or trying to delete it, if you capture their creativity and their eyes for a moment, this is a game changer.
Well, I have a question for you in regard to our mission. Out Come the Sun is really a podcast designed to support Mariel Hemingway Foundation, which we would like to see come to fruition as a resource navigator to help people find what they need. That's the mission behind what we're trying to do. So if the energy is such, and I think, because I've been your friend long enough, that I'm not a great salesperson at all. But can you, if that's not your nature, if you're not the salesperson kind of person, is it that you can find that person who has that ability and then utilize that? Because I would love to see, and if there's an audience member out there and you think that you could be a benefit to our foundation and to our mission.
Can you pitch?
Yeah. And you can be a salesman. I want that. And I want to be, and here, I don't need to, be all things to all people. That's what's great about energy. When knowing your energy, what you're so great in my energy, my life. If you know your energy, you know what you're good at, you know what you're not good at, right? And letting go. I think what you said so far, and we have lots to cover, I know, but what you said so far is letting go of relationships that are no longer feeding your soul. And it doesn't mean,
That's right.
Oh, the hell with you, you're not giving me anything. And you were specific about that, but it's, relationships that don't serve you.
Oh yeah.
And they don't.
No.
And they need to just, I always find that when I allow the universe and, through meditations and creating ritual around these ideas of energy, and I allow things to just come and go in a flow state, for lack of a better term. Those things fall away easily. Like there's no effort behind when they fall off, right? Yeah. So I like that.
Well, and that's a good position to be in. But for those who feel comfortable with telling themselves, if a relationship doesn't serve you, it will either stagnate or stop you. Right? If it's not serving, it'll stagnate or stop. So what you've got to do is determine with each relationship. It's like looking, let me equate it, and this is a piss poor equation, but when you're going through your clothing, you're like, keep, save, or give away, keep, throw away, or give away, whatever the three bins are. You have to do this with relationships, especially this year. You're going to have to look at them and say, okay, is this something that's serving me, stopping me, or causing me to stagnate? And you'll know very quickly. You'll feel it in your heart.
Yeah.
And the way you move away from that gracefully is by keeping yourself busy. You just got to keep yourself busy. Nobody can deny when someone says, oh, I'm sorry I haven't been able to hang out with you guys. I've been so busy. We don't even blink at that anymore. In the days when, you put the ox in the shed at 6 p.m., everyone's like, you're not busy at 8 p.m., Fred. But now everyone knows that we're 24/7, we're busy.
Yeah.
So people won't question it.
That's
but I wanted to tell you also in the chart, we do have fire. And the good thing about fire is fire means wealth. So there's not a lot of it, but there are, and I'm talking cold hard cash. I'm not talking about your health as your wealth, or some esoteric meaning. It's money. There are opportunities for money, but there's not a lot of fire. And here's the thing about it. There's not a lot of metal. There's no metal in the chart, and metal equals resources. So what that tells me is that supply chain challenges are still in play. During COVID and then during the war, we've seen this huge breakdown in our supply chains. This has, some of it is political chess gamesmanship, but the truth of the matter is whatever's taking place, that's still at play. So because we are lacking in resources, sometimes money may come in, or an opportunity to make money, and the chance to grab it and to benefit from that may be slim. But here's the trick to it. Perseverance, and you have to put in the work. I say this every year, and I probably sound like I'm just trying to push a mantra, but there's no white horse. There's nobody coming in. Winning the lottery ticket, getting discovered at the soda counter to become the next Betty Grable, all this stuff is really, it's minimized. And so what we have to do is persevere with your ideas, persevere with opportunities to make money, and really take the time to investigate, is this a good idea? Do I have the right relationships around me to serve this idea? And then you start to see your plan move forward. Not all of us understand how to do a business plan. Not all of us have our masters in marketing and business finance. But what we can do is look at our lives and go, okay, I've got all these ideas. These ideas have been pitched to me. These are my own. which of these have legs, and do I have the infrastructure and the connections to make this move forward?
Right.
That's vital this year. It's really vital, because a rabbit year means everything's still moving fast. The rabbit is known for its expediency. And so it's everything's going to still be moving fast. You've got to be able to stay on board and watch what's happening in front of you.
Would you even say, sorry to interrupt, but would you even say,
no, good.
That moving forward and, and stay with the work, because there's this thing about, and as a society, we're so afraid of the failure, quote unquote failure. And what is failure? Failure is just one step closer to knowing what you want, right? So
that's right.
Instead of calling them failures, those falters, those hiccups, those, whatever, you're still moving forward, learning from the experiences that you have, and seeing failure as an experience, not as a failure, right? It's just another way to get you to your goal or whatever it is. And to kind of roll this back into our mental state, it becomes about, starting your day with intention, really being disciplined. I was thinking about discipline today, being disciplined about the things are healthy for you, health-wise, financially, work-wise, whatever it is, raising your children, your social media, whatever you need to be focused on, and really having a discipline about that, but starting the day with that intention to create, space for yourself, right? Space to, to falter too. And that faltering, seeing it as a gift, right? Instead of seeing the dark side as dark, it's just another way to understand more about yourself. Correct?
Well, and the truth of the matter is, every bump, every speed bump in the road forces you to slow down, so you don't get to where you're going as quickly as you'd like to. But you're still headed.
Yeah.
You don't. Every time we go over a speed bump, we don't go, well, crap, and put it in reverse and go home. We push ourselves over it. We may gripe and complain that there's too many speed bumps in this neighborhood or whatever we say, but we still keep moving forward. And you know what I love about a new year, a new month, a new day? I'm always, I used to get irritated because my husband jumps out of bed like he's so excited to go to the gym and work out, and I'd sit in the bed, wrestling, and, complaining about him. But now I work out, not as hard as he does or you do, but I get up and I go because I'm now so excited about another new opportunity, another new day, a new month, a new year. And the cool thing about energy and understanding it is that it's flowing and moving all the time.
Yes.
Your job is to figure out how to put the saddle on and start riding.
Yes.
You're going to get trampled or you can ride. So I want to tell you,
one more thing about mental health, only because you brought up something that's so important to understand. If you are depressed, if you're anxious, if you're suffering from anything, remember that energy is always moving, which means it's always shifting, which means your energy will shift, your mindset will change. And that's why it's so important to stick with your intention to get outside in nature, walk, move that energy. Sometimes you have to force the energy to move, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, right, I don't feel that way anymore. Anyway, go back to your point, because it was very
that's an excellent point. Unkink the hose.
Yes.
Unkink the hose. I mean, I love that. I'm glad you threw that in there, because it's a vital point. We're missing metal, so it means we're missing resources. We're also missing earth. And this is kind of important right now, because earth represents power, rank. Right? This is like, who's the leader? Who's in charge? Where's Waldo? This is what earth is. Earth is like trying to figure out who's in charge. Now, what that means also is, because we're missing earth and we're missing metal, is there's a shift that's going to be taking place with us. And that means that it's not a shift. It's something to recognize. The rich will get richer as the poor get poor. And that is because of the way because there's no earth and there's no metal. So those who have will continue to have or have more. Those who are missing will continue to miss and not have. Now, this is not doomsday. It doesn't mean if you're struggling and you're living check to check that you've got to just throw in the towel. What it means is be very smart. Do not buy things you don't need, please. I'm asking you this year in particular. There's going to be this year a continued worry about global inflation.
Yeah.
As that is a continued concern, with missing earth and metal, it forces us to kind of pull back and say, all right, think of your money as metal. If it's missing this year, hold on to your savings account. Don't just go out and spend, money you don't have check to check, buying things you don't really need.
Right.
Get a coffee machine at home, and I'm sorry, don't go out and get a coffee every day. Do something. Make shifts and changes. This is a real opportunity for you to shift your life in a way where you're thinking, okay, let me see if I can save 5% of my check. If you can't, think of a side hustle. This is a chance for you to really look inward and figure out what you can do to shift your narrative. So alliances become very important.
Are you saying
because relationships
I'm interrupting only to say to ask.
No, go ahead.
To ask, can you influence even though you don't have metal or you're what can you change?
Oh yeah.
Can you? Yeah, because I mean,
I'm going to give you guys tips.
The whole spiritual world is that we are the creators of our own destiny. So. Yes. Right? So how do you view that from an energy perspective?
When you're missing metal before big meetings, before things that are really important, you bring metal in. You wear white. White's a metal color. Okay. I would get a white checkbook cover. I would get a white little wallet to keep your credit card in. I would get something that would, and the cool thing about white as a metal energy is it is a color.
I got to write that
down. It's non-threatening.
Just kidding.
It's.
I gotta go buy white.
It's neutral, right?
I love it.
No, white is neutral. It's non-threatening. It doesn't create. It's not a stop sign. It's not a go sign. It's just a don't look at me. Just be peaceful, right? And so white is a really important thing. Gold and silver are really important. If you have them, wear them. I mean, you don't have to load each finger up, but you bring in elements of metal, which are the metal, gun metal, bronze, gold, silver, rose gold, whatever it is. You bring this element in and you put it around areas of your money. You have if you have a desk where you always pay your bills, have a really pretty little gold statue or bring in gold framed pictures of something. Yeah, there's ways to, in feng shui, there are ways to work with it. It's not, nothing is always lost.
Right.
And we are the masters of our reactions. And I've had people say to me when I've worked with them before, Melissa, you always talk about manifesting. I can't. I've had vision boards. I pray. I do everything. It's still not working for me. And I say, you cannot, all you can control is your reaction, right? So if something goes wrong and you're kicking the dirt and you're complaining and griping, then it's going to maintain that energy. You have to shift and say, okay, I'm going to keep pushing. And remember, you and I've said this before, 1% better today than yesterday is a huge success.
And also in manifesting, the person that thinks they can't manifest, that I'm praying, I'm doing whatever.
Right.
Think about the thoughts that you have, because sometimes it's the thoughts that are sabotaging the manifestation.
That's right.
The things that you don't want, that you keep saying, I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that. Really what you're doing is pushing so hard till finally it just hits you, right?
Yeah.
So always
place
things, and Bobby's great at this. Always place things in the positive. Say what you do want. Make your life about what you want, and listen to the inner voice, because the inner voice will, because it's habitual, it's childhood, it's trauma, it's so many different things. So try to tune. That's why I meditate, honestly, is so that I have a better understanding every day of what internally I'm saying to myself, because we repeat patterns. We repeat things every day. We repeat the same thoughts.
And unknowingly.
We say the same things day in and day out. And it's completely unconscious. that is crazy making.
I mean, I posted something today on Instagram. Your thoughts can make or break you.
Absolutely.
Your thoughts can make or break you. That's right. So think kindly.
I put that on my story. But think kindly and really think about what you want, not what you don't want. Think about, because
not
manifestation,
what you don't want. That's right.
And I've learned this, this is interesting because this is an interesting concept, because I think manifestation is really powerful. And I think we're all capable of manifestation and creating abundance and prosperity. And I have learned through a friend of mine, kind of a spiritual teacher friend of mine, who says, be less specific, like about exact money, exact this, exact that, and be more like, I want enough to live a peaceful life, to be more broad, because when you get too specific, and also if you get too specific and you're constantly putting out specific messages, it cancels all of them out because it's confusing. Energy goes out there, right? Thoughts can, that once you've had that thought, and it has power. So you want to be less specific and yet be open to whatever is coming to you. I think that's what's interesting about manifestation, and we could probably have a whole show on that, is that if you allow it, if you just say, look, I am open, because sometimes you don't know what that opportunity is, right? You think, oh, well, this doesn't look good. And yet it might be the golden ticket, and you just don't know. I don't know. It's a thought. I can't hear you. Did you mute yourself?
No wonder. I was just talking away and laughing. The minute you were saying that a while ago about being kind of general, I just envisioned me saying, I really need a mode of transportation. And then the next couple of days, a rickshaw shows up for me. And I'm like, I should have been more specific. But anyway, what I was going to say is, the cool thing about what you just said is that this year, not having resources, not having really anyone in power, will force us to look at what we have and to find the peace and the happiness with what we have.
Right.
Find the peace and happiness. We're trying to save our money. We're trying to be cognizant of everything we have in our lives. We must find the peace and the joy and happiness with what we have, because people think, oh, if I had everything, life would be so great. And it's not true. In feng shui, the more and more and more you have, the more you're weighed down, the more the pressure comes. Look, I have a really good friend that I went to college with who speaks multiple languages and could really set the world on fire if he chose to. He lives in the most humble home, really humble home. I think he drives some Warren Buffett old 1976 Honda. I don't know what he's driving, but he's just like, I don't know, what are you talking about? And he is the happiest cat I've ever met. He and his wife have been together forever. So I think we got to rethink what we're doing and rethink how we're moving forward. But with the earth missing, and there's no power and there's no rank, it's really going to allow, I'm looking for the silver lining here, allow us to look inward for our guidance and control and direction. Because there's going to be some power plays moving around. Nobody's going to know, in many instances, who's in control, who's on first, what's going on. That's going to be taking place a lot throughout globally. So that's going to be something we're going to need to watch. But I want to say, okay, the cool thing about the way the energy works too also this year is that competitiveness is going to be dropped down.
Oh, thank God. I'm not competitive. I'm so glad. I don't like competition.
Last year it felt
me. That's what was tough about last year. You felt this, people trying to get ahead of you. It's like, whoa, okay.
Outrank you, outposition you.
It's scary. It doesn't feel comfortable. I don't know. Whatever. No. Competition in the right places.
And so the relationships,
not everywhere.
Well, because relationships are so strong this year, this need to compete with one another kind of dissipates. And it's a huge relief. So we've got that. It also brings some balance between old and new. And this is really important also. Our older generations are going to have more play, the youth will change the way things move this year in a lot of big ways because, and I'll get to that in a moment, but our older generation of people really need to be looked at for advice, for information, and allowing them, excuse me, I'm sorry, allowing them to come back into our workforce as in mentors, as leaders, advisors, in the family, as our uncles and aunties and the elderly.
Well, the thing that you remind me of that I think is so important, and we've talked about this, is that our senior citizens, and we do not treat them well in this land we live in. And they're our wisdom. They're the teachers. They're the storytellers. Yes. In every other civilization and generations past, they were the people that you honored. And now all of a sudden it's like, yes. We put them away in a home and we don't want to talk about it. And I felt when you mentioned that, I thought of Queen Elizabeth, right? I thought of her passing, right? And she'd been a part of so many different generations. And yet, would you scoff at something she said to you? No. I mean, and I remember meeting her, so I'm very fortunate to be able to say that. But that, I mean, there's something about that obligation, and not a bad obligation, but a good obligation to honor those that have come before us, because they are the knowledgeable ones.
That's right.
Like who? What?
I mean, God willing, you and I live to a very old age, and I would hate to think that somebody wouldn't value.
Yes.
Like if we live to be in our 90s and 100s, and I'm saying, well, I've walked this planet for 90 plus years. I think I know a little bit about podcasting. I'd like someone to.
I'm on.
Knock, knock.
1 million, 2.
I don't care if you're podcasting on Mars, Missy. Yeah,
exactly.
So, but there's also going to be a really nice bridge that we're going to find. A lot of people talk about how it's different since COVID. Yes, we have been forced in the workforce and in everyday living on how we have addressed a lot of things. And there's going to be a balance, because there's some businesses, in order to be able to resurrect themselves, are going to have to go back to some of the older ways of doing things. But there'll be a nice hybrid. So then the other thing I wanted to share with you, in relationships between people in homes, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, wife, whatever it is, there's going to be some tension this year. And so there may be more bickering, but there's ways. And I would like to encourage people to come to my Instagram site. I oftentimes give away complimentary tips on how to handle things, and I'll certainly do it this year on the site. But there are ways you can, remedy this potential problem inside the home by placing things around the home. One good thing that I'll give now is to keep a bowl of apples in your kitchen. And if you don't want to have to replace fresh apples every week, I eat apples all the time. I cut them up and put them in my morning tea and then eat them afterwards. But if you don't want to mess with apples, then go to Home Goods or Walmart or Target or something and pick up just a little container you can wash and use repeatedly throughout the year when I give a tip to use an apple somewhere. But a little bowl of apples in the kitchen. It's the apple looks like the heart, right? It's not actually a heart shape. It's kind of this, it reminds you of the heart. It's got the force of red, which is the color of love. It's got all these different, and then it's health. And so it's the health and the love of the family and between the two. And it doesn't mean that, you should pick it up and throw it at the other person in the middle of the fight. It just means that having that apple there in your home is if nothing, it's a placebo, a reminder to you that this is but a moment, this argument, this thing that these are not divorce worthy.
Yeah.
And it's just tension and bickering and snipping and snapping at each other and biting each other on the ankles, and it's goofy. So just as a reminder that's a good remedy.
That was good to hear. I need to get some apples because I was very snippy with Bobby prior to this show.
Well, I'm moving an apple tree into the kitchen, so there you go.
He had made the stove so greasy. I was like, and I just cleaned it. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just like, I'm done.
You can only get so far with that cuteness, Bobby.
Then he came into the balcony. I was right before this. He goes, "I'm sorry about the kitchen," and I started to go, and I was like, "Well, and you know how that man don't say he's sorry very often, so it was good." So I let it.
Yeah, he found it. He found sorry. Yeah, he found sorry in the pantry and came and got it.
Anyway, this is awesome. I love this, and so we have reached the end of our little podcast. But
can I give one last thing? I'm itching to give just one last thing. What we're leaving is a period known as the period of 8. And the cool thing in feng shui about the number 8 is it represents a pregnant dragon. And dragon is the revered energy animal of China and the founding place of feng shui. And so 8 was always this auspicious, beautiful number. This year we're sliding into 9. The cool thing about 9 is that it's a magnifier. When something is good, it makes it better. When something is bad, it can make it worse. So, we come in strong with the 9. It's very strong and it's very
doesn't it also represent completion? 9, yeah.
It represents completion. It's known as the age of the phoenix. Yeah, the 9 is right. So even though I'm so sorry,
you've had a thing.
Even though it's the 9, the age of the phoenix represents turmoil and unrest, it also is a time for excellence, new life, regeneration, renewal. Here's the most important thing. This is why I really wanted to bring it up. Reputation. Ooh. The number 9 represents your reputation. Get your name out there. Keep your name solid and good and strong. Marketing people again, if this is your field, great time for you. If you can market someone's brand, if you can promote someone's name and reputation to elevate it, this is a great spot to be in. If you know how to do that yourself, do it. If you don't, have someone help you. Have the wisdom to pick good ideas and then get moving. Money will be made, but you have to put in the work. These are just my fast tips I want to give. There's real power. The real power this year is not who sits on the throne, but who is working behind the scenes. Something to keep in mind when you're thinking, I don't have access to this person. All you need to do is have access to the person who makes decisions. Then you can get in and start talking to people to make things happen. There's the risk of total betrayal and competitiveness and backstabbing is greatly reduced this year. So you don't have to have one eye open when you're sleeping. Opportunities may be present, but it'll be difficult to benefit from them. So when you are presented with opportunities, you bring in the white, the gold, the silver. This is about money. So also, let's see, what's one last thing I wanted to say to you? Stay true to your beliefs and fight for what's good and right this year. Those of you that have a strong backbone and stand firmly in your core values will get much further this year. It really is. There's so much more. I mean, I know. Talk for another hour, I apologize. I'm trying to rush because I know we're running out of time.
But we'll talk about. I mean, I think that we should be having these conversations at least once a month because I think they're so important.
Can I say one last thing? Can I tell you one more thing that's really good? And this is kind of cool. No. I'm sorry. I'm like burning up over here. I think I'm getting fever coming in. One last thing I want to say to you. New inventions, new discoveries, more technological advances and breakthroughs. And our youth will be leading the way. The cool thing about this is, and I thought about Bobby, is that new inventions, it's not, you know what I mean, on the market, something that people don't have in their possession. New inventions, new discoveries, more technological advances and breakthroughs. Watch out. It's just going to be an amazing year, and there's still a lot more to go over. But because Mariel, I got notes here.
I know you have notes. And I haven't even hit God bless you. You always have notes, and thank God you always have notes because I have a spoon and a cup of tea. Anyway, That's me. That's why I have you. You're my behind the scenes.
I swear, this is like the Lucy and Ethel show with all this coughing and sneezing and you and your spoons.
Anyway, God love everybody. You know what? This has been great. I loved it. I love this conversation. It's to be continued because there's so much. I know there's so much to go over. I mean, it's probably a 2-hour conversation. But everyone, please write down. Remember gold and silver and any kind of metal and white. to help bring your prosperity in, and be aware of your opportunities, and have a bowl of apples in your kitchen.
Nurture your relationships. Yeah, nurture
and bring
your
those
relationships
apples into the kitchen. I have one apple. That's a start. Anyway, and I know in some drawer, because I remember there were apples in another year that I was with you. So in some drawer, I have some wooden apples that I'll have to bring out. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for listening to us today. I think this is actually a really powerful podcast to help people kind of maneuver their energy and their life, so that you can have a sense of balance and a sense of ease, and so that your brain feels just a little bit better. So happy Chinese New Year, January 22nd. And we love you all. And we look forward to talking to you next week. Thank you so much, everyone. Out Comes the Sun podcast. We say goodbye. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Out Comes the Sun. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, on Apple, and on YouTube. And you can donate to the Mariel Hemingway Foundation at the marielhemingwayfoundation.org. And I want to spell Hemingway for you, HEMINGWAY.org. I only say that because a lot of people put 2 M's, and that just won't work. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, you can go to the donate button at the bottom, and it will take you right to a link with the QR code. And if you go to marielhemingway.org, you can also press the donate button and be able to donate to the foundation, which is designed to help guide people towards finding the right solutions for their mental health issues. That is my goal. I'm just trying to raise money so I can come up with an app and a website that has all the information you could possibly want to know about mental health and where to go. But we are in the process of making that happen, and your donation means so much to us. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.